mentioned something really important, which is discipline and willpower. And everyone thinks that they lack it, and that is simply not true. So that's a fixed mindset. You do not lack discipline or willpower. So anyone out there listening who uses that as an excuse for why they can't stay on track. What, by the way, we need a new phrase. I hate that phrase so much. So you can't act in alignment with your goals. It's not because you lack that. Everything to do with not, or you believing that you don't have it, really, in my opinion, is a stress management issue, poor sleep, and then a mindset issue more than anything. So, borrow evidence from yourself or find evidence from where in your life you do have discipline and willpower. Because like I said earlier, the majority of my clients, if not all of my clients, and I'm sure yours too, Sam, they're ambitious, successful people. So you had to have discipline and willpower for
Somewhere.
something. Like, you can apply that to your food. I'm not going to, and your workouts. Like, I'm not going to say it's going to be an easy overnight fix, but it can happen with everyone's favorite word, or my favorite word, practice and patience. So, and a lot of people just, they give up way too soon. But no, if we can get our clients to manage their stress, to get more sleep, to not drive themselves into the ground with these crazy workouts, to actually eat enough food, then, and also curate their environment or set their environment up for success, then they have to rely on all that so much less.
Yeah. Again, I'm so glad you mentioned the environmental side of things here, because the same people that I find tend to say, oh, I have no willpower, I have no discipline, I have no this, also have, whether it's a bag of chips sitting on the island every single day when they get home. So at a certain point, let's question, is it really a willpower issue, or are you just putting yourself in a position to have an uphill battle every single day when you get home from work after an hour commute, when you're hungry, exhausted, and stressed, and that's just extremely low friction. So instead of blaming it on willpower or lack of discipline, which I also find to be a little ambiguous. When somebody tells me their weekend game plan is, I'm going to stay locked in this weekend and really stay disciplined. Like, what does that tangibly, what are you going to do differently when you sit down at a restaurant across from a bunch of people and they serve all these splurges? What does having willpower look like? Just crossing your arms and saying, I'm not going to eat that, because that's not fun. That's miserable.
Right, right. No, that's so true. And discipline, it's not so much about discipline. It's more in my uh, from my thought process, like mind management. So the things that you tell yourself, and that really does matter. So self-regulation and just acting as if you already are that person who has reached your goal. I know that sounds a little bit woo-woo, but I use something with myself and my clients that works very well. And I call it the pillow test. So when your head hits the pillow at night, how do you want to feel about yourself and the choices that you made? And I developed this because for years and years, and it had nothing to do with my fitness and nutrition, because like I am able to nail that no problem. But there were other areas of my life, with my relationships, with my business, where I would wake up in the day like, rah, rah, ready to go. I'm going to do this thing. And then, like I was mentioning earlier, for lack of self-belief or whatever it was, I did not show up for myself the way that I wanted to. So when my head hit the pillow, I felt disappointed. And little by little, slowly by slowly, that chips away at your self-confidence. And if you don't have the confidence to believe that you can succeed, if over and over again you're breaking those promises to yourself, then that is going to continue to be your reality. So I'm not saying you have to make these like broad sweeping changes, but is there one thing that you can commit to every day, whether it's with your fitness or your nutrition, or, just taking better care of yourself altogether, that you do? So when you do go to bed, you're like, oh, look at me. Like, I kept that promise. And then that builds that self-trust over time.
I think that's so interesting. And I think of like a kind of line of questioning. And by the way, you mentioned that it can sound a little woo-woo. I think surface level, maybe, but it's actually super tangible, because if we start with that question of, okay, like, what are the decisions of the person that I want to, or let me rephrase that. What types of decisions are the person I want to be making? Like, what are they doing on a daily basis? So it starts a little more vague, maybe more mindset a little tough to wrap our heads around. But then when we work backwards from there, we can get very specific with those decisions. So to use that meal out analogy, what's the decision making or framework for somebody who is that healthier version of myself that I want to be? Okay, when they sit down at this meal, maybe they're choosing, not restricting, not limiting. I don't like a lot of those words because it's not fun when you sit down, but maybe I am choosing to have between an entree, a dessert, and a drink. I'm going to choose to have 2 out of 4 of those. So I'm more selective with my splurges because the person I want to be, that's what they're going to do. And now I leave this restaurant not feeling stuffed and bloated and defeated, but cool. I struck a balance between enjoying my company, enjoying the ambiance, enjoying the decisions I made. And then to use your pillow test, Marci, which I absolutely love, your head hits the pillow and you go, I kind of nailed that shit. Like that was pretty cool.
I nailed that shit. I love it. Absolutely.